Hey, welcome back to the channel, my fellow weather junkies. I'm your host, Greg Majeski, your personal weatherman, bringing you the weather without all that social media hype here on your Saturday, September 21st, 2024. Let's go and take a look at what we're tracking here for today as we're looking at spotty areas of severe weather across portions of the country here for today. We'll kind of show you where you can expect that here for later in your Saturday. We're going to be talking about the cutoff lows parade and how that's going to have an impact on the overall weather pattern across the country, because it's definitely going to have a say in where our next Gulf storm system's likely to be. Could be a tropical storm or hurricane, looking pretty likely there, but questions still remain on the exact strength and path and timing of that system. We'll get the details on that in just a second. Now, if you are part of the new subscribers who've come on board here the last week, I want to thank you personally. And if you haven't considered joining, if you're the 50% or haven't done it just yet, please consider it. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And if you enjoy the report, please give me a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, as it does help with the YouTube algorithm. Looking at this morning's latest satellite imagery here, got a little bit of rain here across portions of Missouri up toward areas of Minnesota as well. We're going to watch this little piece of energy here across portions of Utah and into New Mexico kind of come on out here. That's going to set up some active weather across portions of Kansas, back toward Texas, and into areas of New Mexico for later today. Surface map showing the nice cool temperatures up here in the high plains, coming in out here in the 40s, even some 30s out here across portions of Montana. You can definitely tell we're making that transition. This is the last full day of summer here. Again, we got the wet weather up here toward Minnesota and up toward a little bit of shower activity up there into New England to begin our day. Watches and warnings. We got some fog out here from Indiana up toward Michigan. That'll burn off a little bit later here for this afternoon. Little pocket of some flash flood watches across portions of Texas and into New Mexico. And yeah, a little bit of snow. That's a little winter weather advisories there in the higher elevations of the Rockies here on your Saturday. All right, let's look at where the rain's falling here. We're going a little bit closer to Springfield, Missouri. You see some of this rain. Yeah, a little bit of lightning in here as well. And this area is going to see several chances of rain here for the weekend. And some of the heavy rain threats going to kind of linger here, not only for this area, but kind of stretching back over to the west as well for this afternoon. I thought, since today is the last full day of summer, let's talk about a beach location. So this is a beautiful shot here from Destin, Florida. Looks like a great beach day there. The surf doesn't look too bad there. We're going to look for sunny skies there for this afternoon, a high temperature of 89 degrees. And hey, if you'd like to nominate your city as the weather city of the day, and you know of a good webcam somewhere, perhaps on YouTube or somewhere else, just go ahead and take that link, put it down below in the chat, and we will consider it for a future broadcast. All right, now it's time to go ahead and talk about where we're expecting some active severe weather here over the next few days. Let's look from the Storms Prediction Center here, as we're going to be looking at a few zones to watch here for this afternoon. Again, we're watching that piece of energy coming out of the Rockies. You got that slight risk down here. Obviously, we got a frontal system up this way, and we got another marginal pocket here across Pennsylvania down toward Virginia. So we got three areas of watch. Of course, it's going to be that area where that slight risk is going to be of the higher concern for today, as we do have a pocket there for isolated tornadoes. So we're talking about a 5% risk kind of running into that area there, coming out of New Mexico and in through Texas. So that is just a slight risk of a few isolated tornadoes. Now, obviously, there's going to be a hail concern with that as well. That's where the higher yellow is right there, where that slight risk was kind of highlighting, as well as gustier winds there across portions of Iowa into Wisconsin, and again over toward Pennsylvania, down toward Virginia. And your wind, they line up almost exactly where they line up there with the marginal as well. So no big changes there. Let's take out your day two. This will go into your Sunday. Sunday looking like this. We're going to see again that marginal risk there through the middle of the country from Missouri back down toward Texas there. And just a general thunderstorm threat there across portions of the Midwest and as well as South Florida. Seeing a general thunderstorm threat there as well. And this is where our hail threat, our wind threat is going to be the highest, obviously right in there from Missouri, stretching back down toward Texas. Your day three outlook is looking like this, as we'll just got a small little pocket of marginal severe weather to look out for there. That'll be across portions of Kentucky, stretching back over toward Arkansas right there. Just a general thunderstorm threat there across Texas and up here toward heading up toward New England. But otherwise, not looking too bad as we head into your Monday. Now, obviously, we do have those storms around. You got to look for those possibilities for some heavier rains, and we do have that slight risk for excessive rainfall across portions of Texas, Oklahoma, and New Mexico, marginal in that bigger zone in there, expected with some of the heavier rains. And this is going to be kind of lingering here for most of today and going into tomorrow morning. Let's go ahead and take a look at the day 2 outlook for this. This is again for today. We'll go to your day 2. This will go into your Sunday. Again, this will continue across areas of the Midwest, stretching back toward Texas with that slight risk for some heavy rains there. And then on your day 3, it does back off some here as we go toward Monday, as we're just looking at a small pocket there of marginal excess rainfall here across portions of Pennsylvania, stretching back into Illinois here on Monday. So looks like just heavy rains across the middle of the country will need to be watched closely as those series of kind of smaller systems kind of to kick on out. Now beyond that, then we start turning our attention back down toward the Gulf of Mexico. We're looking at a heavy rain threat here across Louisiana, stretching up toward Alabama and the Florida Panhandle. And that's being driven by what tropical system is coming at us here over the next 3 to 7 days. There is a bit of discrepancy exactly on what will likely be Helene here. That's our next name here on the list. On the timing of this system, I'm going to kind of break that down here for you now as we kind of highlight what's going on in the tropics. And the tropics right now are remaining pretty busy, tracking 4 different distinct areas. The 2 out in there in Atlantic, I'm not concerned about those, okay? Those are way out there and not going to be a big concern here. Obviously, we're talking about this zone here that's going to be developing here as we go through this upcoming week. That will probably be Helene. And then we got this other area here. This one also looks like that might become Isaac a little bit later. I'm a little more concerned about the one there just coming off the coast of Africa with a pretty good wave that'll come out there, say, toward the end of next week. So again, the tropical global outlook is definitely highlighting the fact that, yeah, we got a couple of hot zones we got to watch here. Obviously, the area concerned from the 25th to the 1st is this area right there. That's where the bullseye for that system is, and then that next tropical wave. So I think we might see Helene and Isaac finally form here as we go through this upcoming week. Looking at the latest satellite imagery out here, this is what you can kind of see what's going on. We've got, again, thunderstorms increasing down here. This is where, obviously, we're watching for that system to develop right through here. You can see a couple of little spin-ups here from those 2 weaker systems, and we still don't have that wave just yet. That's going to be tracking off the coast here as we go into this upcoming week. But again, all eyes are on this as we're starting to see those thunderstorms begin to increase there across the Western Caribbean. That'll eventually make its way into the Gulf of Mexico, and then we're going to really watch it very closely at that point. Let's look at the European ensembles. Again, this is a cluster of different model runs to kind of get an idea of where the trend is here on this. So we're definitely tracking 2 different areas here of concern. Obviously, anybody here across the northern Gulf Coast needs to watch this. Again, you're getting that tropical system coming up, but where exactly does it go once it gets up there in the timing? Could be anywhere from Friday even into Sunday. I mean, we've got a pretty wide range of model runs there. And then, of course, we'll have to watch this next wave here tracking off here as well to see if it makes it across the Atlantic or does it make the turn and start to head on up to the north. So, again, we're still in September. We're definitely a very busy part of the hurricane season, to say the least. So, we're going to talk about tropical development here. Let's look at the models. We're going to talk about here this is the European chance for seeing something tropical development, and it's running pretty significantly high. So we're talking about areas here showing us between 60 and 70% chance that we're going to get some sort of tropical storm to form out here. Still questions on whether it becomes a hurricane. I think if it does become a hurricane, I'm thinking probably minimal one. I'm not expecting a major hurricane, just the way things look. It's kind of not the best environment that's going to be sitting out there for this thing to kind of blow up into a major storm. But, of course, conditions could change. You just got to watch it closely since we're still a week away from this system. Let's go ahead and track these things. Let's go ahead and first take a look at the European model here. I want to highlight the fact that we got some timing differences in location problems here. So, again, we're waiting for this system to get developed here. And the European finally developed something here. Looks like as we head toward Thursday. Thursday morning looks like we get some sort of tropical depression, maybe knock on the door tropical storm at that point on Thursday, okay? Now, as we go ahead and take this forward here to the weekend, you notice it just kind of, it finally gets up there. It looks like it becomes just a strong tropical storm, maybe a minimal hurricane as we go towards Sunday. This is 12Z on Sunday, and then it moves in across Georgia as we go in late in the day on Sunday. And then this thing kind of moves on off toward the north and east. So that's the timing on this one. So you're looking at something going up toward the Florida Panhandle as we head towards Sunday, and that moves inland. Let's compare that with the American GFS model. Again, we got a little bit of a different solution with this one. So let's look at the American GFS as this is going to spend something up here a little bit further to the east. Okay, so it's definitely a little bit further to the east with some sort of tropical storm forming in this location as we head toward Thursday. So they're both saying Thursday, except the other one is sitting a little bit further to the west, obviously, than where the GFS is showing. And it's definitely a little faster with this. It does blow it up into a possible minimal hurricane as we get to late in the day on Friday. And it's making a landfall near Apalachicola late in the day on Friday. So GFS is saying Friday, Europeans saying Sunday. So we got about a 48-hour difference between these two models here. Generally going in the same general direction, though. They're both coming up into the southeast. So, again, all interests here in the northern Gulf Coast need to watch this very closely as we go into next weekend, as we'll be looking at a tropical system making landfall at that time. And it really is going to depend on what's going on upstream and how quickly this thing finally gets itself organized as a system. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the upper level winds here. Again, this is what's going to be driving this tropical system. Again, I do favor the European. I do make that known. I do favor that system, this as a model data. So as we go through time here, what I want to bring your attention to is this piece of energy back here, this little dive, little dip in the jet stream here. This is what's going to be diving down into the south and is going to pull our tropical system to the north. That's what that upper level low, it's going to act like a bit of a magnet and pull it northward. So again, watch what happens here as I take this to the run. It dives and buries itself down into Texas. And as a result of that, it's going to take this tropical system and bring it to the north. So that's what we're going to be seeing here. That's what the European model is showing. This is on Thursday, but it does it fairly slowly. Again, doesn't really bring it up until we get into late in the day on Sunday. So you see in landfall there on Sunday. And then as we go to the end of this run, I mean, look at this. You got disturbance. I mean, we've got a parade of lows all up and down the flow. So a very active flow, to say the least, as we go into the getting into the 1st of October. A very progressive pattern, to say the least, with all these little cutoffs all over the place. That'll definitely keep the weather on the active side. Let's look at the precipitation mode on this. Again, we're going to track that system again. We're going to see some pretty healthy rains here through the weekend, heading from the Midwest back here toward the middle of the country. Again, that's where that heavy rain threat's going to be here through the weekend at least. And as we go ahead and go forward, then you got to have to watch that tropical moisture that's going to eventually come in out of the Gulf of Mexico. So it looks like as we head toward Tuesday, looking at some wet weather here across the Midwest for Ohio, back into Kentucky, in Illinois, for some wet weather there on your Tuesday. Rumble thunder not out of the question with that as well. And then that'll move into New England as we go into Wednesday. Now, obviously, we got another little system out here on the West Coast, seeing some wet weather here coming in here on Washington and Oregon. A little wet there on your going into Thursday morning with that system. Then we'll be watching the Gulf of Mexico. Here comes that system, which will probably be Helene at that point as it starts to make a move here toward the north. And we'll watch that very closely as this thing moves on in and then bring some very heavy rains across portions of Alabama and Georgia throughout the day on Sunday, and then moves up into the Carolinas. So we'll have a couple of systems to watch. You got this one here. Here's that another upper cutoff low here across portions of South Dakota and heading toward Minnesota, Iowa. Another little weak system out here on the West Coast as well. So we'll be watching 3 different systems across the continental United States as we head into the 1st of October. As far as rainfall amounts, again, that can be quite significant. And again, the exact path of that system will dictate how things will develop there in the Southwest. But through this weekend, obviously, we're talking going into Monday, you're talking about this area here, seeing 1 to 2 inches of rain, pretty healthy rainfall amounts here, stretching from Illinois back through Kansas and in through areas of Texas and Oklahoma with some pretty healthy rains on that. As we continue to watch this, again, that'll proceed into areas of the Northeast as we go into the middle of the week on Wednesday and Thursday. Some pretty healthy rains here across Pennsylvania and Ohio. And then we're going to watch all this mess down here start to surge to the north with our tropical system as we look at that. Let me turn that off. Oops, sorry. And watch what happens with that. Watch the surge of moisture here across the southeast. Boom. We're talking about some pretty hefty rains there across Georgia and Alabama into the Carolinas. In fact, we're going to highlight some of this again as we're looking at some pretty decent hefty rains coming in here toward the end of this run. Let me go back to 0Z here. And again, watch this come on up. Boom. So you're looking at anywhere from 6 to 9 inches of rain coming into Georgia. But again, this is a week off because the change on that track will dictate where this heavy rain is ultimately going to fall across the southeast. I think the southeast is going to get some rain. This is a question, is it going to be here? Is it going to be further to the west? So stay tuned. We'll watch that closely here during the upcoming work week. Let's talk about temperatures across the country. As for the 10-day average, for the most part, looking at temperatures running above normal here in the east as well as in the west. Got a little pocket there of a little blue with a little below average temperatures expected there. So let's go ahead and break it down by the region. We'll go ahead and take a look at the east here first. As for the most part, you're looking like here in the Midwest, you're looking at temperatures running on average maybe about 5 degrees above average. Also about 4 or 5 degrees above average across the southeast. Here across New England, fairly seasonal, not too bad. Probably being kept down a little bit because of obviously some clouds, some rain in that area here a little bit. Let's take a look at the central portion of the country. Again, you got some little cool pocket here where the temperature's running a little bit below average there across portions of Colorado into Kansas and Texas. Again, precipitation driven, but the average is going to be down here over the next 10 days. Well above average here across the high plains and into Minnesota. Into South Dakota, we're talking 8-9 degrees above average on the temperatures there as we go through the next 10 days. And then finally, let's go shift out toward the west coast as well. Looks like these aren't too bad. On average, looks like most of the interior sections maybe 2 to 3 degrees above average on the temperature side. Although it does look like here across the interior sections of California, you're looking at maybe temperatures running about 5 degrees above average. Fairly seasonable or close to average there across portions of Washington and Oregon as we go in through the next 10 days. So as we take a look at this, let's wrap this all up. We'll take a look at your climate outlook here. We'll take a look at the latest here from the Climate Prediction Center. Going from September 26th through the 30th. Most of the country above average, little pocket of near normal there. Maybe I shift this back over this way based off what the European showing. But most of the country looking pretty warm indeed. In fact, that trend continues into the first week of October from September 28th through October 4th. Yeah, everybody looking at above normal temperatures. Alaska, a little below or near normal there as we go into October. Obviously, wet and rainy here across the southeast. We showed you the rainfall amounts being on excess here, the 26th to the 30th, as it stays wet here, dry across the high plains and across most of the Intermountain region here through the end of the month. And as we go into October, still holding on with above normal precipitation across the southeast, parts of New England, but big chunk of the country, I'd say maybe about 60% of the country looking at below average precipitation as we go into the month of October. So we'll see if that kind of holds true. When I see a jet stream pattern as we go to the end of that 10-day, was looking pretty progressive there. So it'll be interesting to see if that 10-day average as far as precipitation stays that way, or if it does update, as this is a product that is updated daily depending on how those models look. Obviously, we're going to have a pretty busy week ahead watching what's probably going to be Helene. Is it going to be a tropical storm? Is it going to be a hurricane? Questions on that and the path and the timing are still remain to be seen. Once we get a depression to form, then we'll get an idea exactly on where this path of the system will be heading toward. But if you're definitely along the Florida Panhandle, anywhere from, say, Louisiana over to Cedar Key, that area in there, just make sure you stay weather ready or stay tuned if any changes on this potential next tropical storm or hurricane. And if you'd like to get these updates for your YouTube feed, please do me the favor. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And if you like the product and you got some feedback, please leave a question down below, leave a comment down below. I do appreciate your support. All right, that's your update here on your Saturday morning. You guys take it easy, be good, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.